Nice to meet you, Steve.
Got it. It's nice to meet you too, Sean. Um, Jack, Sean, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate the opportunity to chat with you.
Thank you.
You too. Nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you. I have to say that the film is absolutely stunning. It's so beautiful. It is such a difficult watch, but that's kind of the point. Like this is a very intimate film, shockingly so. I'm just wondering for you both, how is it that you came to be a part of the project?
Well, initially we were approached by Bill Brandt, who had read the New York Times article that more veterans were dying by their own hand than on the battlefield. And that statistic sort of shocked us so much that we were ready to sort of dive in and see what we could do to help.
It is remarkable to see these moments play out before you, and that what was that experience like for you both? Because these are people sharing their deepest, most intimate traumas, and to be a part of that is not something that we normally get to see.
Yeah, for us, I mean, we tried to take such care at every step along the way to make sure that the individuals we were filming with felt supported and trusted us in the process. And we also, were committed not to filming things that they weren't comfortable with, and to allow them to say in the therapy session, I'd rather you weren't here, or I'd rather not have that included. And those were lines that we always respected. But it was a gift in a lot of ways for their ability to share and to be vulnerable and to be honest. And I think for everyone, associated with the film, to some degree, it was this feeling that by participating, they could help others. They could help other veterans. And I just feel like that trust in us was incredibly moving, and we couldn't be more grateful.
I wondered this as I was, and you don't have to answer if this is too personal as well, but I'm wondering for you both, if an experience like this changes you at all, because again, you're walking with them on this journey, and as filmmakers, and I don't know your stories, and film emphasizes that we need to know each other's stories, but I was just wondering, it's gotta be a personal journey for you both along that process. Was there any particular thing that you come out differently as you went in?
Yeah, I'd say there's absolutely no question that you come out differently from this film. Our director of photography, Daniel Carter, I asked him to sort of prepare something. I said, so tell me, what would you say about this film? And he said, I went to therapy every day making this film. And he said it was a privilege, but it was also like, I gave my word I would be there. And he goes, I couldn't imagine anything more important than being there every day with the people who committed to allowing us to take this journey with them. And I think for all of us, we felt the same way, even to our editor, Karen Sim, who wasn't in the room, but spent the time going through the footage, the conversations that we had amongst ourselves about the film and about our own experience, we were all really moved, and we were all really changed by making this film.
Well, I can't deny that as a viewer, I felt like I was on that journey, and I don't often say that with, I've seen documentaries about personal tragedy and healing and hope before, but this one is handled with such care, and is right behind the scenes of these counseling sessions, and even the scenes of the coaching. I love that there were the scenes of the coaching, because I felt like it felt personal to me, and it felt very powerful in its structure. I'm sure that it had that effect on you all.
Very much so. I mean, you asked before just how it affected all of us. I mean, I think, I have kids. It made me think, how can I be more honest with my emotions, and how to communicate things better, and how to be, as Jason says in the end of the film too, that he hopes his son can learn from this experience when he's old enough to kind of process it. So I think there are universal lessons across this when it comes to communication, when it comes to honesty, when it comes to straightforwardness, when it comes to destigmatizing mental health issues as well, being able to have open, honest conversations. So I think that speaks not just to a veterans audience, but to a wider population as well.
I think it also speaks to this idea of courage too. This idea redefined courage for me watching this group of people. You know, you think about people being courageous who say nothing and do nothing. And in fact, it redefined courage into this ability to be able to be vulnerable and to be able to say that one need, you know, that for these people and therefore for all of us, that, you know, when we need help, to ask for it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you know, that was one of the things I loved about the film too, is that as much as this is very much a film about the trauma of people from in the military and from the military for sure, but there's this comment made that that trauma is trauma, and it opens the space of the film for the viewer to participate in it in a different way. You know, you're not left out. You're not hearing someone else's story. You're included. And I was just wondering, for you both, the idea of what does that mean to you, that trauma is trauma?
Vinny says it in the film, trauma is trauma is trauma. And it doesn't matter where or how you experience it, but there's a universality, I feel, in the experience of the characters in the film, that even though they may have served in different environments or their different generations, their traumas are much different, there's something experientially that's kind of common to many of their journeys and what they're addressing. And I found that very powerful. And as you said, there's also, you know, traditionally kind of somewhat cliched ways about thinking about PTSD and relating it to combat and all the rest. And I feel like the film breaks through that. And it says that trauma can happen in various aspects of one's life. And it's a very powerful idea.
Absolutely. And now, one of the things that really struck me in terms of conversations in the film, and I realized that maybe for you both, like, I mean, I don't know what your background is, but I mean, I'm not speaking on a therapist level or something like this. I'm speaking to you both, just your personal opinions. But the difference to you between responsibility and fault, I thought was really fascinating to delineate those two things. And I was wondering if you could talk about that difference from your experience in preparing the story in the film.
I mean, it's, again, a very universal part of the conversation. And I think you're referring to a therapy scene,
Yeah.
That's a group therapy scene, which is very powerful, where there's this kind of a moment of almost like a revelation to some of the people in the room in the group therapy sessions, where they realize, like, whatever the actions or the consequences were, it wasn't their fault. And they arrive there in therapy. And, you know, therapy itself, as we know, can be its own process, and it takes time, but I think it captured something very beautiful. And I think it was that, at least in that moment, a kind of a letting go of that burden. And that was kind of a reframing of what many of them had experienced. It was a very, very powerful moment in the film.
There's a real commitment on the part of the, I love, Sean, that you talk about courage, but as filmmakers, I feel like there's a real commitment to these people as well as they're moving through this process. And I was wondering what your relationship was like with them. Certainly there would have had to be an incredible amount of trust to get the footage that you did.
You know, we had an incredible co-producer who originally found this Cincinnati program, Chloe Hall, for us. And once Jack, you know, you put Jack in front of anybody and the credibility goes through the roof. And so, you know, we were collectively met with Dr. Kathleen Chard, who's incredible. And then we went and spoke to the women and said, you know, we had come on the chance that, you know, that we would like to take this journey with them. And, you know, the privilege of being in that position of being able to hear people's stories, yes, as you have pointed out, it changes you forever. And our relationship with these people through that process, and now to this day, years later from filming, is one that we really, really value. We reach out to them on holidays. We talked to them more recently, the women from the program, and John and Jason, and I think it's just to say, as Jack, I think, has said many times, it's like the level of privilege and the level of change that happens. There's nothing like it. These people are, I can't imagine these people not being in our lives anymore.
That's an incredible, I love the word that you said, incredible privilege, because there's a real responsibility there. And just as we wrap up, I know we're running out of time. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. I'm just wondering for you, what do you think hope looks like for people who are suffering from trauma or PTSD, and what you hope audiences take away from the film?
I think it's for many people, it's taking a first step. It's also recognizing that there's not like a one size fits all therapy or therapeutic approach to treatment, that there are many options. We feature 3 that that have proved to be effective, but there are other supporting therapies that can also be valuable. And so we hope it opens the door to conversation and action and support.
I certainly agree with that, and I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you both. It's a wonderful film, and thank you for being so honest with me today. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you so much.